All right, y'all. What's up?
Hey, nothing much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank y'all so much for coming and being pretty much on time. Y'all were relatively on time. I'm ranking y'all on CP time, so y'all did good. So I appreciate that.
Hey, in that case, I was ahead of time.
There you go. There you go. Well, you guys, my name is Kathy, a.k.a. Detroit Red. We're calling this Detroit Red and Friends right now. So this is my first official podcast. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves first. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. Antoine, go ahead. Hit us with it.
My name is Antoine Simpkins. Born and raised in Detroit. Been selling real estate in the city for 22 years now. Just recently started selling life insurance. Been coaching for girls travel basketball for about the last 10, 12 years. So that's me.
All right.
Yeah, I'm David Tinsley. I was raised on the east side of Detroit. I went to Cass Tech High School, ended up going to University of Michigan. I got my engineering degree from there in 2006. Moved to Arizona, worked as an engineer, ended up moving to Cali in 2009, worked as an engineer there for another 10 years, moved back to Michigan in 2019, 18 timeframe, I can't remember. Still working as an engineer. I'm also a filmmaker on the side. I got a beautiful wife, Bridget Tinsley, two great kids, and happy to be back in the city.
Amazing. And didn't you just win an award of some sort?
Yeah. So we actually had a screening. My project is called Project 8 at the Detroit Black Film Festival.
Okay.
Ran by Marshall and her husband. And we won an award for Best Narrative Feature Film.
Okay.
That's good. Black excellence.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love to see us doing things that are like a little bit more out of the ordinary. I just, someone just told me about their friend that is a black beekeeper. I was like, oh, I gotta go see these bees.
Wow.
Actually, bees.
Huh?
Bees?
Bees, actually bees, like a honey, farm or whatever. I don't know what you call it.
Right.
But I just thought that was so neat. So I'm like, I don't like bees, but I have to see this.
Oh, I mean, have you already scheduled the time to go out there and check it out?
Not yet, but I am soon, very soon.
So you going to put on like the outfit and everything? And
I don't know how they do it. Maybe. I just want some honey.
That's what's up.
So something about me is I hate talking about myself. So that's number one. It's very cringy to me. I never really know what to say. I don't know what people want to know, but I will say that I've been on social media for a lot of years. I have kept up a lot of ruckus, have said some things that have put people with their panties in a bunch or, whatever. A lot of people think that I'm controversial. I do not agree with that. I just think I like to keep a conversation going. I like to keep dialogue going. I like to talk about things and share perspectives that are different than the norm. So I think maybe because the perspective's different, it might rub some people the wrong way. Let me see what else to tell y'all about me. I love astrology. Mercury is in retrograde right now.
Yeah.
Almost canceled this appointment because I'm like, you know what? Communication gonna be off. I don't know if I should be doing this, but I was like, all right, just do it.
So you be doing your thing on Instagram with the astrology stuff. Have you ever gotten paid to sort of?
I have been reading a new book recently, and I'm like, I probably should. My coworker actually said that to me. She's like, you should get paid. She's like, you help me so much with, stuff. And I'm like, for real?
Yeah. I got a lot out of it myself.
Yeah. To me, it's like, it's fun and it's interesting. And one thing about me is I like understanding people. So to me, it helps me understand people. I work in patient care. And believe it or not, I'm picking up a chart and I'm looking at their sign like, okay, this a Virgo. He gonna be difficult.
Last question. Do you think everybody who falls within these category based on the months, days, year, whatever, do you think that it's pretty accurate every single time, or there could be some anomalies or outliers?
Well, I think it is mostly accurate. But the thing about astrology that people don't know is you have most of the signs within your chart. So there's something called a chart. And so nobody is just their sun sign. Like you're a Taurus. I know you're a Pisces. And believe it or not, like I grouped this together based on knowing that, like, okay, it's a Taurus and Pisces, they'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because it's, And then I'm a Leo, so I'm kind of like the outlier here, but I have a Pisces moon. So y'all probably don't know y'all moon. You probably don't know yours.
I do.
What is your moon?
It's a Pisces.
Real? Pisces moon. Look, he's like, I don't know mine.
I do.
So yeah, we got like a Pisces.
Yeah.
A lot of people say like your moon sign is truer than your sun in a lot of ways because it's your emotions. It's like how you feel. It's like who you are, when you're alone. So
I got you.
That's
I'm
what
a
people
Taurus
say.
to the T.
You a Taurus to the T. He's bullheaded.
So hold on. Okay,
can't
wait. So
tell
tell me, he says he's a Taurus to a T. What does that mean? And I want to see if you agree with it. I'm just testing
He's
this out.
stubborn.
Yeah, that's great.
He's stubborn. He's stubborn, a little bit materialistic there too, because he's an earth sign. So they're very attached to like the material world. So they tend to be materialistic. They're a little bit possessive, very devoted, and hardworking. They don't expect any handouts. They expect to work hard.
Let's see.
Yeah, she got me.
Okay. Well, hold on. Do me real quick and let me see. Because, if you go 2 for 2.
All right. You the Pisces, right? Pisces are a little bit more complicated. Let me just see. Because I have a Pisces moon. Pisces can come off a little bit melancholy a lot of times and a little bit dreamy. And they daydream a lot, but they're really creative. Let me see. Oh, Pisces is kind of weird, too, because y'all are the 12th sign of the zodiac. So y'all kind of like a culmination of all of them because they all kind of run together. So Aries is first, Pisces is last. So Aries are kind of like, you can't tell them nothing. They're the alpha and omega. They started this shit. But Pisces is last. So y'all are kind of the ones that can understand everybody in a way because y'all are emotionally in tuned. So yeah, y'all are kind of odd though. Most of the time when I meet a Pisces, I think of them as a weird person. And then I get to know them and I'm like, oh, like they're really smart. You guys have a quiet type of drive about you. Like you're going to get stuff done even if it's slow. Like y'all might do something really slow, but y'all are going to do it, but y'all could do it in like a slower way. It's kind of hard to describe, y'all.
It's a difference between,
which is weird because it's like my moon sign. So I think I'm kind of like don't want to say too much about myself.
No, but you like hit the nail on the head. You can have all my money, man.
Right. But it's a difference between Taurus men and Taurus women, though.
Oh yeah,
it's a big difference actually.
Yeah.
The stubbornness is there, but it's a big difference, especially in relationships. Especially in relationships.
Well,
that's interesting. We're gonna have to hear more about that on another episode.
We're gonna have to run that back again. So today's show I wanted to touch on cancel culture. So I'm gonna tell you something about him. He ain't on social media of no sorts.
Oh, good.
Right. He is such an anomaly in today's world because this is what everyone does. So how do you even detach yourself from the social media world? How do you just not do it? Not
only do I'm not attached to social media. I don't watch television either.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
a real weirdo.
But here's why: I refuse to let anyone or anything dictate my thoughts. So I'm a man that can think for myself. Mm-hmm. So although I refer to the internet and other things for research, but to be able to have it take up so much of my time wondering what this person is doing and seeing what they think is success or a successful relationship or what this person ate for dinner, I'm straight on.
So I got one quick question. That's really admirable. Like, have you always been this way, or was it a certain point in life where you said, you know what, I'm gonna take control of my own thoughts?
Certain point. Okay. Probably definitely in my 30s.
Nice.
In my 30s, I just started just quit, letting people dictate what I think, because we all say like, it's only social media, it's entertainment. Mm-hmm. This is not the real me, but the real lie. Your personality come out on.
It's indoctrination, absolutely. Yeah.
And to me, everything someone shares is a reflection of them in some way because you find humor in this or, whatever it is. Right. And people will try to dismiss that. It was only entertainment, but it's like, okay, but you're entertained by this. Mm-hmm. So that says something about you. people don't get that, though.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make it like it's so benign, but really it's ruling a lot of people's lives, mine included. Not ruling it, but it has its influence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really does. And I have my moments where I have to detach, where I'll just disable everything and just, you know, go some months without it at all.
But the bad
But
part,
because I want to do this, it's kind of like I kind of have to have a relationship with it because it kind of rules culture in a way. Like, this is how I know what's going on. Like I said, cancel culture to you, and you're like, what's that?
Yeah.
So, you know.
But that's the bad side of it, because like I still need it for business, and I don't even really want to do it. So
Yeah.
I come from cold calling, door knocking, things like that. That's the thing of everyone, you know, if it says it on social media, then it's true.
Right.
So I have to be able to start utilizing social media, and then letting it be what it's for. You know? And I don't even want to get into that.
I think that's a strength, though, because you've learned, you know how to manage that. You know, I wouldn't even call it an addiction, because it's an addiction for most people, but you can manage it so that it doesn't become an addiction. Because like a week ago, it shut down. I think it was Instagram. I want to say Facebook. I can't remember what else. It shut down for 4 hours, and I had so many people calling me like, hey, is Instagram working for you? And they kept trying to refresh it.
I Googled that shit. I'm like,
listen,
down? Because I ain't been able to update nothing.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, well, that's exactly, because you're not attached to it, like most of
Yeah.
society. And I think that's where it can become a problem. If you let the wrong thing consume you too much, it can sort of permeate, you know, throughout your life in other ways and affect you in ways that could be detrimental, I think. Yeah.
The biggest question I asked myself about that when I started moving away from television and social media, I said, do I have an original thought? And I really couldn't answer that question. Do I have an original thought? Where did I get my idea of beauty from? You know, everything about it. What do I think is successful? What car would I really like if it wasn't for marketing? You know, so I'm just saying, man, I don't really have an original thought. So I'd rather control my own thoughts and limit what I take into my mind, and, you know, by singing. Now, I still have a problem with music.
Yeah.
But social media, television, I'm straight on that.
Man, see, I really like what he's saying, because when you talk about original thoughts, it not only means being able to not be under the influence of social media, but not under the influence of certain groups.
Right.
Too, you know, no matter what group that may be, whether it's KKK or Black Lives Matter or a feminist group, because a lot of times when I'm talking to people, I feel like they're sending, they're the representative. They're the representative for the ideas of the group that they belong to, and it's not the individual I'm talking to, and that's a problem.
Like you can make a post, and I can almost guess what the comments will be. You know, like it's almost like it's scripted. It's like the first comments and back to back. It's like everybody's saying like in line with what people say about this, you know, and like you said, there is no original thought, and people don't even mind like just straight up jacking what you said and either paraphrasing it or just stealing it word for word and acting like they said it.
Yeah.
Or
It's
people wait.
trash.
People wait to see what someone else says about your post or
Before they weigh in, right?
Yeah, so no one owns anything.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm really interested in like how this is gonna go, to see original thoughts about what we're gonna talk about. And
yeah, me too. And then we gonna put your skills to the test on if you picked, you know, a good group of people to have this conversation, because it's obviously it can become very contentious. Yeah.
Alrighty, so we're talking about cancel culture today. So cancel culture is basically like, you know, a group deciding that, you know, someone said something that offended them, and they're like, oh, you know, they're going to basically destroy this person, you know, from whatever they're doing because they've said something that, you know, has offended them. So an example is, so I hate saying this name, the baby. It makes me feel old. I don't feel like it rolls off my tongue like it does a, 16-year-old, but the baby. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do know who that is.
Okay, so the baby, he said some very offensive things at a concert, and he got canceled. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about his cancellation?
I share the same sentiments as Dave Chappelle, to be totally honest.
Okay.
Because
he's being canceled too, or they're trying to cancel him. They
I
losing.
Not if I can help it.
Yeah.
But what gives them a right to be able to try to cancel this man's career because he had an opinion, even if it was offensive? And if that's the way, if that's the way that things are gonna be,
that's some weak shit.
It should be a whole bunch of people canceled, because look at all of the offensive comments that has happened about my people.
Yeah.
You know, you let this man kill a man, you let this man say nigga all day, you let him degrade women, but the moment that he says something offensive about the homosexual community or gay community, now you want to cancel him.
Right.
That's bullshit, if you ask me.
I agree. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to groupthink. It goes back to people or groups saying that they are offended by what he said, but I hadn't heard from any individuals. As far as I'm concerned, groups don't feel and groups can't be held accountable. People just hide behind them. And it actually lets the person off the hook that possibly did whatever it is you said they did to them when you just blame the whole group for something that one person did. So when you talk about canceling somebody, yeah, I'm with Dave Chappelle on that as well. But the bigger problem is this. If I work for an employer and I say something that goes against whatever guidelines or rules that they have,
right,
then that company has a right to punish me. The problem is that society is starting to dictate how severe the punishment becomes, because when DaBaby got canceled, he was losing all these shows, losing all of his money, and there was certain, I guess, venues.
His brother had to take a class.
Right.
There was certain venues that didn't want him to be there out of fear of what pushback they would get from society. So now that's the bigger problem I have with it. Not people not being held accountable for whatever rules based on whoever they work for, but more so society driving a person's, or the severity of a person's punishment.
And that's well articulated, because that's exactly how I feel about it. You know, it's like you said, if I'm an ambassador for my company or whatever have you, and I said something that I shouldn't have said, then I should be held accountable. But no one should be able to be held, hide behind in a group and say, we gonna cancel this guy. Well, man, get out of here.
Right, because it's almost like you become, you forget about how imperfect you are, and now you become this virtuous person who's able to assess a person's morality. And it's like, well, what about you?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know I've said a lot of crazy stuff, so I hope don't nobody dig up my emails from 10 years ago. Go ahead, yeah.
Do you guys think that is there anybody you can think of that you feel like should be canceled?
Oh, that's a good one right there. You know what?
Cancel Joe Biden.
No. If I'm going to feel...
He getting on my nerves. He defunded HBCUs. That was some bullshit.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody calling his ass out on it for real like they should be. That was some bullshit. I just had to add that. But
if I feel one way on one end of the spectrum with respect to something that maybe I support, I'm going to feel the same way on the other end of the spectrum with respect to something that I don't support. So I care about people's freedom of speech no matter what they're saying, because I know that works for my best interest in the long run. It's only a matter of time before they're going to turn on me, and maybe something that I believe in is not going to be in line with what the government believes in, right? So I just believe in freedom of speech. But obviously, if you work for somebody, you know what the rules are, and you should be held accountable according to that.
I don't mind free speech either, because if it's one thing that I believe in from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So if you continue to talk, your words gonna locate you.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to talk around the way that you actually feel. But if I had to be able to cancel something or someone, it would be racist people. That's what I would want to cancel. Because everyone want to look over this type of thing, but have the little sidebars about it, and really, if we can get rid of that one thing, a lot of this other stuff wouldn't be happening.
Well, for me personally, I am anti-cancel. I believe in free speech also. I am pro-teachable moments. I think it's okay to not agree. And I think it's okay to say, you know what? Here's a different way to share a different perspective. Like, why do people have to get canceled? Why can't we just talk, have a dialogue about the misunderstandings?
Well,
because sometimes people really think that should be okay. Like, who was it? Dog the Bounty Hunter or whatever? He said, nigga, he said his black friend said that he had a pass. Yeah. But he didn't know niggas don't get passes like that. Like, you got to get a pass from all of us, and you ain't going to get one.
Yeah.
But he didn't know. He thought he had it. You know what I'm saying? He thought it was cool. So I don't think he should be canceled. And I know a lot of black people will hate me for saying that, but I don't think that he should be. I think, tell him, like, you was dumb as hell. We don't give that ever. And, that's that.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. So if we was able to really pinpoint that problem and define what racism actually is, then someone like Dog the Bounty Hunter or whatever would understand that he have a racist mindset, and we would have to deal with that comment that he had as well too. So go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I want you to finish it.
So I believe that we don't want to deal with the elephant that's in the room, and that's where a lot of our hate stems from. So my thing is, when I say that things like that need to be canceled, look at what's subliminally being taught. Sometimes you get the hate that hate produces, right?
Yeah.
And so when you come from
you give little infants fucks everybody. Thug life. Yes.
Right.
Representing Tupac always.
So you only starting to see hate manifest in different ways. But what does it actually stem from? We haven't dealt with the problem. You know what I'm saying? When you can treat black people like this in America for so many years, and then you think it's not going to go to other different things, right? And so when you have privilege in so many different ways, you think that's not going to come to other different ways. So, I mean, we haven't dealt with some of the root cause, which is hate. And it starts with racism. And so you're going to get that. This is the not benefactors, but this is the fruits of some of that. So you get what hate produces.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. I think, I guess the part that I question is, well, what do we consider to be racist, right? Because I think a person can say the N-word and do it because they thought that it was okay to do it based on whoever they hang around, and that person still not be classified as a racist person. Like, I'm an engineer, so you know, I work for the Army, and if like something goes bad with an Army vehicle, and let's say it's a result of maybe the suspension system failing or something like that, we have to do a multivariate analysis, which means we have to come up with a list of things that could have possibly led to the suspension system failure. And it's important for us to do that because, well, if we allow these vehicles to stay out in the field, then it can mean that soldiers could possibly lose their lives. So there's a lot riding on that. I think with society, we think that it's okay to just say things without doing a multivariate analysis. Like if I walk in the store and I'm black, and let's say the person who works behind the counter is white, and let's say they're being mean to me or they're rushing me out the store, well, it's easy for me to say, oh, well, this person is being racist if I let my emotions do the talking. But if I'm not using a multivariate analysis to sort of, you know, assess the situation and say, well, okay, well, who came in before me that might have pissed this person off? Maybe there's been a bunch of thefts in the store and this person is getting pressure from management to sort of crack down on that. Well, let me stay here for a little bit and see how this person treats the white person who walks in after me. So you have to really do a good job, I think, or it behooves all of us to sort of analyze everything and not just jump straight to racism based on optics. That's a hard thing to do. But again, the consequences are severe with respect to that too, because it ends up dividing society. You end up having a lot of people around here who just call out things to be racist without, you know, doing the work to really investigate whether or not it's deemed racist or not, you know, and it just leads to entitlement, bitterment, all other sorts of things. And I think people don't consider the consequences of that. We just blurt out things without giving it a lot of thought.
Which is correct. I don't think a comment, that this is what I mean by properly understanding it, right? A comment, you can't be racist. You can be insensitive.
You can be insensitive,
but you can't be racist.
You know.
But sometimes your you being insensitive tells a lot as well too. You know, if I were to say, you know, skip these faggots. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. That may not. I may not have the argument to saying, well, I'm sensitive about faggots. I want them to live right, or this. The way that I said that, you can probably be like, man, you don't deal with them like that. You know? So I'm not saying the comment in itself was racist, but I'm saying you can deem a lot from that actual comment in the way he said it and the context of what he was talking about.
Yeah, you can. But see, a lot of people don't even want to have a conversation with that person. No. So we cancel people before we even get to that point.
Yes, we do.
And it's like, well, who says we're right? Are we right just because we're black and our ancestors have experienced something that we haven't?
And sometimes that doesn't make us people more just don't freaking know. Like my coworker today had a teachable moment. I was having a serious brain fart, right? I could not think of the term for a person who is black and white. I'm like, what do you call people that are black and white?
What you say, mulatto or something like that?
He said mulatto. And he's white. And I was like, okay, don't say that. And he's like, what? And that's derogatory.
It is?
To some people.
Okay.
I didn't know that either.
It's a teachable moment.
I didn't either. Somebody told me that too. They were like, that's a derogatory term. I'm like, oh, I think it's like an animal or something.
I've never known that.
Like a mud or something like that.
Everything I've always read is mulatto.
So, apparently it's a derogatory term. And so I'm just telling him, like, you probably don't want to say that because you might offend somebody. Like, I'm not offended, but I want you to know because me and you cool, and, you know, probably don't want to throw that word around. And then the other girl is biracial. I'm like, that's the word. I don't know why I was trying to think of biracial, but
well,
I'm just saying I believe in teachable moments because sometimes people will hear something like that and because they see it as offensive and they heard him say it, now they don't like him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I was saying
they don't like him.
If not necessarily
real,
canceling the bounty hunter. I'm talking just based off that comment. Like you said, there's some more analysts that has to be done. Yeah. But if I was a betting man, I would probably veer on the side of he got some racistness to
I think it's hard to not have a little racism for most people. You know what I'm saying? Particular people that, you know, don't have melanin. I think it's very hard because it's generational and it's kind of, you know, I think sometimes they don't even know it. It's kind of ingrained in our society.
Well, yeah, because that becomes privilege. So when you say it's hard for people not to be racism, you have a people that cannot be.
Okay.
So
when you say people that cannot be, you mean like black people?
Well, yes. Well, and more correctly, because when you start understanding racism, it's prejudice plus power. Me having a prejudiced thought, how does that adversely affect anyone of the white culture? No, it's not rhetorical. How does that adversely affect anyone? Can I affect their schooling? Can I affect their...
I think you can affect their livelihood for sure. How? I mean, we just saw, what is his name? Joe Gruden, right? He was pretty much just canceled. He was the Raiders head coach. And he had to step down for some racist and transphobic comments that he made in emails 10 years ago. No, I'm not saying that, but he basically lost his job as a result of racist emails that were sent out 10 years ago.
Right. So my question is, how do you, Kathy, myself, or even us as a people, having a prejudiced thought adversely affect them? Because that wasn't us having a thought about him. That was something. That was him having a thought about us. Yeah, that was him having a thought about us. And other groups of people. He had to be reprimanded.
Yeah.
So my thing is, and I know this podcast is about other different things, but the thing is,
about cancel culture.
It all ties in.
Right. Yeah. I cannot impact any other culture's way of living based on how I feel. I can't affect their education. I can't affect if they get a loan. I can't their housing, their anything. I have nothing to do with that. So I can feel and hate white people, anybody else, all I want to, but it doesn't adversely impact their life.
So you're basically saying like black people could be prejudiced but not racist.
Well, he's saying because black people don't have as much power as white people, but who's to say that we couldn't do it if we did have as much power as white people? So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know if us having more power would be the answer because I don't believe that.
That's not even what I'm
saying. No, I know that. I know that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you know, at the end of the day, as far as racism, I believe that definition to be a person who deems their race to be superior to another race for reasons that are merely superficial. It doesn't have to necessarily be a group of people that has the power to adversely affect the lives of another group of people. It's just you feel your race is superior.
Well, that's a prejudice. My thing is,
that's racism too.
Yeah, well, it's racism. It's racism without power. I mean, it's not even racism. It's prejudice without power. I mean, it's almost like, so if I say I want to go in here, ain't no way in the world I'm buying white milk. That's my God-given choice. If I say I don't want to date white women, I'm not racist because I don't want to date white
That's
women.
Your preference.
That's my preference. That may even be a prejudice, right? I shouldn't be judged for that. But if I ever try to impact the livelihood or oppress another people based on the power that I have, then it becomes racist.
Right. So, okay, if that's the case, how would we know when it's happening, so to speak? So, again, it's easy. It's a slippery slope between being a victim and a victimizer. And it's easy to incorrectly assess the situation just based on your identity, is what I'm trying to say. Because at the end of the day, if a white person chooses not to hire me because I'm black, then in the long run, it's not in that white person's best interest because your goal should be to hire the best people for the job. And if you don't, well, you got to worry about competition for this other company out here that's supposedly your competitor that's hiring people to do the best job, not based on race. So the market sort of always kind of corrects itself and works itself out.
You're right. Yeah. But because that's even a thought, it's because racism exists.
Well, it is, but what I'm saying is that how do we determine whether or not they didn't choose you to work at that company is based on your color?
Because either there's been oppression for the last 400 years, or we have the worst luck any people can have in the history of the world.
So that's good what he just said, because now we have to decompose that even further. Now, do we have the worst luck because of oppression and what happened in history, or do we have the worst luck because of our own doing? And culture and behavior. Well, it's a big problem.
Well, the thing is, sometimes what you have to understand is when you're in the system, and that's the biggest thing that people don't understand.
I think it's all compounded. I think all of that is like,
right.
It's both.
But the thing that a lot of black people
the oppression causes the behavior.
Right. But the thing that a lot of the black people do is just they view it in such a, like, I don't know, closed-minded way, and they say, well, it's because of oppression that I'm not succeeding, rather than it's because of my own doing.
Yeah.
Well,
they never concentrate on the self part.
There is a lot of concentration on the self part that you need to concentrate on. I agree with you unequivocally. But the thing that I'm also saying is, like, I hear this analogy thrown around a lot. Black people are like crabs in a barrel. And that's the perfect analogy to me, because here's why. If those crabs lived outside of the barrel, they live in perfect harmony. The question becomes, who put them in a barrel? Because once you put them in a barrel, you can predict their behavior.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different things that, well, if I
like that.
So,
that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
So the thing becomes, did that white man put that gun in your hand? No, but there's a thing that's called segregation. There's a thing that's called fixing where they live. I'm just putting it in very, very simple terms. And now we can predict the outcome based on
people
how
are
this
products of their environment.
So,
for a lot of
I like
so
that.
it's never about me making it out, because we live in a society where the majority win. It's one of the reasons why we're not letting those dang on Haitians over here like that. So we always deal with the majority, not the minority. So that's why I hate when people say, I made it out, why didn't you?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to deal with it. Look at the 80s crack era, right?
Yeah.
That's public knowledge that, and I don't want to go too deep, but Ronald Reagan, Oliver North, and all of those different guys flooded our black communities with crack cocaine. That white man ain't put that crack cocaine in you. Yeah. But if you have oppression, then like you said, the behavior becomes predictable. So you got, basically Freeway Rick Ross was fronted all of this dope from the government, and then you locked him up for
right. He still made the choice to sell it. So all I'm saying is that both need to be talked about. But the one thing that we have control over is the fact that we're keeping ourselves in there, in the barrel, if we want to use the crabs in the barrel statement. So somebody put us in there, but we're still keeping ourselves in there. And that's the one thing we have control over. I don't have control over what somebody did years ago. I do, because I made it out of the barrel.
No, I do.
As an individual. I'm not speaking as a group. Yeah.
That's my point. And as long as we live individually, then we would never be a people. So the thing is, it's just like this. I find it funny. I can go in any city. I can see a Chinatown. I can see a Mexican town, Jew town. Start talking about Africa town. Start talking about any of these other different things and watch what happens. There's a deliberate effort not to have us unite, and it's for a reason. And
you just see that in so many different ways. Sorry to interject, but like even in like commercials, like tell me when you see a black woman and a black man in love on a commercial, they gonna mix it up. Like they don't want us to have any harmony. They started it with breaking up the family. So once you broke up the family structure, you broke up everything. There's no more family. There's no more community. Now it's just all this dysfunction. And then this is what you have.
Good question. Whose responsibility is it to fix it?
It's ours.
There we go.
So,
I'm never going to fight that. That's not
with the proper tools.
Yeah.
Because you also have things that's called, like post-traumatic slave syndrome. Anyone. So how do I say it? If using
I'm like, who's buzzing?
that's my grandkids FaceTiming me.
Grandkids.
If Dr. Joy LeGroux, she said one of these things. She said, if you guys saw me stump out a puppy up there, y'all probably have to have counseling, right? So one of the things that we did, even when we came out of this thing, there was no helping this trauma.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So if now it's passed down. So it may not have, my kids may not have dealt with slavery, but they've dealt with the product of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different things that's passed down the generations. So like you said, there's a curse that has to be broke, but it's so hard to break. It's so hard to put,
as a group, right? Because there's plenty of individuals who've done it. Because America has produced more black millionaires than any other nation on earth.
Well, on the eve of 1865, we owned 0.5% of the wealth in this nation.
Absolutely.
Right now, today, we still only own half the wealth. I mean, that 0.5% of the wealth. So we have not went anywhere in terms of as a people. We still only own that 0.5% of.
No, I agree with you. I guess what I'm saying is this: if our salvation is dependent on the benevolence of another group who supposedly wants to keep us down, and we're never going to win.
Exactly.
It should be dependent on the things we have control over and practicing group economics, like Dr. Claude Anderson states, and all of those sorts of things. So I agree with that.
So
but I
it's
do
kind
think
of like getting rid of the victim mindset.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
What also is being true to ourselves. Like you told me, and I hope I'm not going too far. One of the things that we're going to talk about is cancel culture, is it called?
Cancel culture.
Yeah.
and then you're going to talk a little bit about R. Kelly, right?
Yeah, because I was going to ask you guys, do you think R. Kelly should be canceled?
So here's my.
We'll segue right into that.
Yeah.
All right.
Going back to what we're saying, I believe that, for one, I do not defend him. If he did something wrong, he should have to pay like everyone else.
Do you think that it is, and if you don't, you think it's questionable that he did these things?
I'm not even going to get into that. The thing is, my thing is this. I truly believe that he was railroaded when the relationships was no longer symbiotic. I do. So the thing is, if we're going to... Now, let me get back to the point that I was saying with that. We as a people shouldn't let society, I guess I'll say, tell us when to glorify or demonize our people. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, if this was the case, then it should be a lot of more people on trial than R. Kelly, and it should be a lot of more people being locked up. If you were stepping in the name of love into that dang on Surviving R. Kelly came on, then you were wrong and you played part in it as well. You have a lot of parents that played part in it as well. You have a lot of people with money that played part in it as well. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that, is it a lot of white people that do that every day? Well, we're not white, so I'm not even going to get into that. Yeah. That's not even a question. My thing, I
don't care that, Jared, was on Subway. Bring it up. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
My thing is, it's just like, why do we demonize our people when told to? Kwame Kilpatrick, whether you agree with him or not, why did we wait to be able to demonize him when society say demonize him?
Right.
I don't like that. And I think that sometimes we have to be able to say, I'll just say this real quickly, and I'll let my brother talk real quick. And one of the most successful things I think we did as a people was the Montgomery, Alabama boycott, right? Because we started hitting people where it hurt their pocket, right? Society understands violence and money. So you have to talk in their language. So my thing is this: where does it hurt? Black people, you always been an American dream. You've been a commodity. That's one of the reasons that every one of the people, different cultures come in your communities, build business, make money off of you, and take it back, and then they survive well in their own communities.
Absolutely.
Lastly, I promise you this is the last thing.
No, this is good. This is good.
I went to a listing. Like I told you, I've been selling real estate for over 22 years. And I went to a listing. I was selling this gentleman's, older gentleman, very older, party store. And, I'm thinking I'm doing real well. I got on my tailored suit. I jump on my Benz and, I'm hoping no dirt get on my Murrays. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking up there and...
brunch boot dude.
So, and I can tell this old man was looking at me like he's looking at his son. He's so proud of me. And so we talking in the presentation. He say, "Where you live?" And I so proudly said, "Farmington Hills." And he did like this. And he said, young fella, when we was out there marching and doing all of that type of stuff, it wasn't for you to move away from your people. It was for them not to tell you where you have to live or have to, We were doing this to not have people have control over you. But you have to understand that your power is in numbers. And I look about it, and he was one of the ones that broke down and said, look at every community. Everyone live amongst each other or find it valuable to live amongst each other except us.
Oh, yeah.
when we start talking about culture and Black history and all that type of stuff, it's only us that say, I ain't with that Black stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it's just, they don't even have to say that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of healing process that has to be done. Not necessarily a victim mindset, but we have to talk about healing.
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the things that's coming up now is people always talking about their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those guys need to sit on somebody's couch. They need some help from what they've seen every single day. Mm-hmm. So you build up a lot of cognitive dissonance to be able to handle certain things.
Yeah.
So now we talk about us as people need therapy. So do the people that did the oppressing. Do you think think of what type of cognitive dissonance they had to build up to be able to treat humans the way that they treated them?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you say something. I want to respond to that, but you
go ahead, bro.
No,
well, because I think he brings up a good point. But see, again, I don't need any, therapy or anything as a result of something that happened long before I was here. So that's me speaking.
Not the actual act.
No,
I'm talking about through the hundreds of years of.
No, that's right. That's right. But I'm just me responding as an individual. See, that's the problem with group politics. It's the problem with or identity politics and groupthink is that we take this collectivism sort of approach and we place everybody in the same bucket and assume that every Black person is the same and we all feel the same way about racism and we're all impacted the same way. At the end of the day, I'm in Farmington Hills too. And listen, I would love to be around my people. In fact, the neighborhood I stay in is like 60% Black, and that's just coincidence. But at the end of the day, I care about values more than I care about being around Black people. That supersedes it. So I want to be around people that's going to cut their grass, not going to be hanging up stuff on the porch. I don't care whether they Black, white, Asian, whatever the case may be. We need to share the same values. And that's just kind of how I feel about that because I don't really worship a race. Even if I belong to a particular race, I understand that man is inherently flawed. That's why I care about values. With respect to R. Kelly, yeah, he's a Black man who caused harm to a lot of underage girls. I don't know if they were mostly Black, white, whatever the case may be, but it's wrong. I don't care what color it is that the person did it. And somehow we give a pass to people just because they belong to our race, or we I guess impose more severe sanctions or criticism on people who don't belong to our race. And it just further divides the country. At the end of the day, I can be proud of being Black, right? But just imagine this if I use this analogy. I got a household. It's me and my wife. We got 10 kids. Every single one of those kids wants something different. If I try to cater to the needs of each one of these kids, and mind you, these kids represent Black people, Asian people, all these groups, then I'm not going to be able to pay the rent. So our greatest commonality is being American. And then even greater is being human. And I think we lose sight of that. And it gets sort of muddy with respect to race being interjected in every single conversation. And it causes a lot of division that we see happening today. And if the further we're divided, the easier it is for a government body to come in and pretty much institute these unconstitutional mandates. And you've turned one half of society against the other. You posted something not too long ago where a person was talking about vaccinations. And they said, hey, I wish I had a gun and I can shoot all the people that haven't been vaccinated.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day.
Somebody really said that.
At the end of the day, yeah, I might be Black and I might not like you because you white. You might not like me because I'm Black. But we ain't going to be able to fight over this race stuff if we don't even have rights that a human is supposed to have in this country. If we don't have liberties, if we don't have all of the things that make this country the freest nation in the world, all that race shit, it ain't going to matter.
Well, I agree with you saying to a certain degree, and I respectfully disagree in certain little ways, and here's what I mean. Because it happens for everyone else. So we can't look at it so I'm not saying you're saying this, but just like to be able to say Black Lives Matter, and then someone say, well, all lives matter. I've never said that all lives didn't matter, but what we're dealing with right now is Black Lives Matter.
Why you say that?
So I know that all lives matter.
But I'm talking about why should Black Lives Matter be the emphasis?
Because it's the Black life that's being killed by police, all of the other different things where they protesting about.
Well, if you look at the census statistics, it says that white people, no, seriously, it actually says that white people were more wrongly killed by cops than Black people in the last 3 years or so.
That can be easy if Black people only represent 12% of the population.
Well, but you also have to factor in that Black people make up 60% of the homicides committed in this country.
Well, you also have to be able to say that crime is based on geographic system.
So it goes back to blaming somebody else than blaming the actual person who committed the crime.
I was on the police department for 8 years.
Yeah.
I know how that go down. That's one of the reasons that I'm not on there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know how that goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not cool. I've seen guys put dope on guys.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen people want to, do it look like a gun so I can shoot them.
Yeah.
They come to work to do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when this is not an opinion I have, and if it is, it's an informed one.
Yeah.
Because I've been in those.
Absolutely.
I've been in those trenches. And when I say that, like if I said black love, the only people that can get offended by that is people that, well, let me put it this way. Me loving us doesn't mean I hate you.
Nope.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, but I also know that I'm not going to depend on what got me in this situation. Mm-hmm. So in order to come out, one of the things you said was, what's the solution? And that's a great point, my brother, because the thing is, we have to be solution-oriented and not victim mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So what is it? It's getting our stuff together so we can be a people.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a people. It doesn't matter even if they're a minority. I look at the Mexican community. They're a people.
Yeah.
When they killing and doing Mexicans wrong, they have a people to answer to.
Because they have a certain.
So when you have a Joe Biden that's going around pandering for black people's votes, and then he get in office and he don't have to do anything for us, why? Because we own nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
We own nothing.
Yeah.
So he has no one.
There's no consequence.
There's no consequence to any politician's decision that affects millions of people. That's the reason why.
There's consequences.
Well, there's no criminal consequences, right?
But the thing is, you will be out of there.
That's true, and they want to retain that power. Yeah. I want to go back to the black love comment because that's important. Mm-hmm. I don't think people have a problem with us saying black love or Black Lives Matter.
Black girl magic.
The problem exists when people get mad if somebody out here says white love. At the end of the day, I want to be able to say black love, but I ain't getting mad at nobody else for professing their love for their white people.
I don't get mad at anything.
Well, but that's why that's why those people of that group could feel a certain way, because there's a double standard there, and there is a set of privileges with respect to being black in this country where we can get away with saying certain things that other people can't say just off the strength that we're black, brother, that we don't want to acknowledge.
If that's the trade-off, if my privilege is being able to say something versus getting a loan that I deserve, I'd rather get that loan than I deserve.
See, I can't speak from that position because I've always gotten every loan I apply for. But I'm speaking as an individual, not a group. Yeah,
and that's I don't want to say the problem, but so my thing is if we're not all just like totally liberated, then me being successful on one end does nothing for us. It's like, again, I can only look at how people live around each other. We the only ones deem it like bad to be able to say I want to do this or want to do that. Even the comment to say like I want to be around people that cut their grass, it almost suggests that we don't. So the thing is,
but I see what you're saying. I didn't mean that, but I see what you're saying.
Right. So the thing is,
because 60% of the people in the neighborhood are black and they all cut their grass. So it's about values and behavior versus race to me.
And sometimes it's seeing the value, right? Mm-hmm. So gentrification is a real thing for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I know.
Because sometimes we don't see the own value that we have.
Right.
So sometimes. So just like this, right? Well, I'm not going to take this.
No, this is good, though. Yeah.
This guy's so serious.
But that's how I feel about the R. Kelly thing. If it would have happened to anybody, I don't care. That's a child, and if the law decided his fate, then I'm with that. It's not up to me to judge him personally because, again, I can't assess someone's morality. I got too many skeletons in my own closet. So
really?
Absolutely. It may not necessarily be that, but Jordan Peterson, he's this clinical psychologist, and he's also a professor in Canada at some college out there. But he basically has a saying, and it says, "Make sure your own room is clean." At the end of the day, I'm not up here trying to tell somebody how to be a better husband. I'm not up here trying to tell somebody how to be a better black person, a better businessman. I got too much stuff going on in my own life to worry about to be trying to project. I guess how I feel somebody else should be living their own life in order to improve their life.
I respect that. But my position on it is not even what he did or is he guilty or any of those other different things. If he is, let him serve the crime.
Yeah.
If Kwame Kilpatrick was guilty, let him serve the crime.
Well, he was guilty.
Right. Well, he was found guilty.
No, he was guilty.
Yeah. He was found guilty, but he got a sentence that no one else got.
Yeah, that's true.
And what I'm saying is then, Jeff, like, one thing that I know about the media, or when they have to, go in and get someone or convict them.
When they want you, they gonna get you.
They make you look like a boogeyman.
Oh, they gonna get you.
Yeah.
They make you look like a boogeyman in the news first. Like Osama bin Laden. I ain't never heard about Osama bin Laden until they wanted to invade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kwame Kilpatrick gave the best thing since sliced bread until he made someone mad.
Yeah.
And now he's the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
That makes someone mad is a real thing.
Hey, listen, they did it to Ellen DeGeneres. They did it to Jeffrey Epstein. They'll get you if they want to get you no matter what. Like I said.
Sometimes they got to throw a
John
little
Gruden, too. Yeah.
They got to throw a little something in there. John Gruden is a perfect example. John Gruden. Now, check this out. Black man mess up as a head coach, right? We don't get too many chances, especially not that particular coach. John Gruden is going to be all right.
Yeah.
And probably a white man is probably.
Well, I don't know that. You know, I can't speak for that situation. I'm just saying that based on optics. But the reality of it is that I can look at some black people that have been punished probably more severely than they should have been punished. I could probably look at some white people who've been punished more severely than they should have been punished. Do I think Derek Chauvin should have been convicted of the crime that he was convicted of? Derek Chauvin was the guy who kneeled on the neck of George Floyd. Absolutely, but we can't deny that case was tampered with. It was too many politicians that was influencing that case and didn't get a man a fair chance. You can't have, what's the lady's name? I think Maxine Waters. You had even Biden, influencing the case to a degree indirectly, talking about what the jury should do.
That's the politicking.
Well, that's the politics, but I'm saying that highly affects what ends up happening because the jury is going to be influenced by that type of talk. Because even the jurors who have spoke about it afterwards, they were like, hey, I didn't want nobody coming after me. I didn't want Black Lives Matter coming up to my door.
Same thing
absolutely.
Right
yeah.
But the point that I want to make is because we even have to have this discussion is because racism exists. Black lives wouldn't be a thing if everything was on the up and up.
But it's racism. Racism at a certain time, especially you brought up the Montgomery Boycott. You brought that up. We can bring up Selma. We can bring up just the whole civil rights movement. Racism was actually legislated at that time, right? And I mean, it was in legislation. You can go to certain companies and they say whites only, this, that, and the third. Now, in America, we've improved to the point to where racism still exists, but it doesn't stop me or you from going after the opportunities that we want. So again, racism can still exist, just like everything else exists. Rape exists, killing exists, all sorts of things, but it's not stopping people from pursuing the opportunities that they aim to pursue.
To a certain degree, it does.
Yeah, well, if they do, then there's a million other opportunities that they can go and pursue as well. What I'm saying is that racism exists, but it's on life support, and we're keeping it alive because we give it power. More power than it should have.
Not necessarily. Here's how racism wouldn't exist or wouldn't matter if we can heal as a people. Because the thing is, one of the things that you keep saying, and I think we can't have a victim mindset. So one of the things that we have to do is do for self.
Absolutely, I agree.
But you can't go alone. So the thing is,
why can't you?
Because you won't make it far.
I made it pretty far.
See, but you can't. You're talking in I.
Yeah.
You're talking in I.
Yeah, I'm talking about the individual. So what I'm saying is that...
But no other people are talking as an individual.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying, but not everybody is necessarily...
I've made it far.
Well, that's true.
But the thing is, I don't look at it like that. I can say, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
But this your show.
Yeah, but it all goes back to the cancel culture.
Yeah,
because it happens as a result of these identities that we cling to, and we all take this victim mentality, and our perception of what's actually happening becomes warped. And it's like, no, you're not a victim. You're the furthest thing from a victim. Nobody can hurt your feelings. Nobody can disagree with you.
Did you see Dave Chappelle's show?
Yeah.
I did.
Did you hear the part where he said, if y'all really listen to what I'm saying, I'm jealous of y'all. Talking about the gay community. He said, I'm jealous of y'all. He said, you know why? Because how did y'all movement get this much momentum and get to where it's at? And we've been going through this for so many years.
Yeah.
So the thing is, was it a joke? Was it funny? But was it true?
Oh.
So this is one of the things that I'm talking about when you have a people behind you. One of the reasons that identities, people cling to those things is because that's what catapults you to the next. Yeah. Just like even in voting. When I'm voting, when I'm running for office, I'm campaigning, right? I'm saying, if y'all vote for me and put your campaigning dollar behind me, here's what I'll do for you.
Yeah.
It's a give and take.
Yeah.
So, hey, black people, I'm a pander. I'm going to have the baby on the stage. I'm going to have R. Kelly sing the national anthem. I'm going to do all these other different
things. And I'm going to make as many black people think that they're victims as possible, because I need them to know that I'm going to come and save the day.
What exactly.
And that's why they're going to keep voting for me.
But the thing is, exactly. But in reality, nothing is being done for us.
Well, right. But I think we live in a country where there's a plethora of opportunities, and there's enough opportunities for us to do for self. Well, the thing is, too.
Individually.
Well, right. But that's the thing. Mm-hmm. That's the thing of, like I said, I go back to identity politics and group think. So when you talk about just cancel culture in general and people sort of clinging on to these identities and not being able to talk to each other as individuals, that's a problem. I'm friends with people of other races, right? So I'm friends with this one girl named Sahar from Middle East, from the Middle East. I'm friends with another Asian guy named Wei. Plenty of people. The difference is that, sure, they practice group economics, but they don't do it with a sense of entitlement and bitterness like we do. The thing is this: if I'm a group who feels victimized, okay, maybe I really am being victimized. At some point, I'm going to reach a point where I'm getting the stuff that I deserve. But then where does it stop? Because now the victim ends up becoming a victimizer, like Dave Chappelle is referring to. We don't know when that's going to stop. And people aren't necessarily smart enough to realize as groups, okay, we've reached a point where, things are sort of fair. So let's stop right there. No, they take it far. And then all of a sudden they become the person who's trying to adversely affect the lives of the people that they feel like are hurting their feelings.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think the people...
You've seen it with the LGBT community, with Dave Chappelle. That's what's happening.
Well, to a certain...
That's what's happening.
What I'm saying is, I don't see, what do you call them, agents trying to impact white society, even though they practice group economics. I don't see the Mexicans trying to oppress or impact Asians because they practice group economics. I think that if we look at it in a negative way, then we'll see the negative part.
Well, that's what we usually do, though, because we're blaming everybody.
Not at one time have I looked at it in a negative way. Not you. Yeah. But I have to look at it in a necessary way if we are to move forward as a people. So have I been successful individually? Yeah, I had a whole bunch of ups and downs. In life, I've been successful. I do well. But the thing is, I also look at what my people have to go through sometimes.
What enabled you, and we get back to the cancel, what enabled you to do well?
A decision.
Right.
So the thing is, but I also, but here's the thing. You like you just said, brother, only reason that I'm probably can be here in front of you right here and talk this talk is because I ran faster than the police officer that day. I'm not above anything.
What caused you to be in the presence of the police officer that you had to run from?
Because I grew up in a hood that was that where this was my choice.
Well, that's true. But so I'm saying,
did I tote that gun?
No, you did.
Yeah, I toted that gun.
But that was a choice. That was a choice you made. That was a choice you made. I grew up in a hood and I never toted one. So
exactly. My son did too. My son did too. But I grew up on Burlingame. You know what I'm saying? So I had other people that was coming in that hood that was looking for us. That was a way of life to me sometimes. Yeah. So even I'll share this experience with you as well. Like I said, I was on the police department for 8 years. I never met someone that wanted to do what they were doing.
I have plenty.
I met people that thought that was the only choice because they knew nothing else. It's people that don't know that stuff outside of Detroit exists. It's a mindset. Sometimes people live
it's a mentality.
It is.
Absolutely.
But you can predict that and you can control that based on things. Even something that's television, even something that's social media. That's why I protect it. And so the thing is,
it's just like you could predict that a white person could be racist based on how much privilege and money they have too, right?
Not necessarily, because what I find now is that a lot of white folk is empathetic. And a lot of them, because they don't understand their privilege, they have the privilege of not knowing how privileged they are. Yeah. Some of them will want a solution as well too. So that's why I don't stand before you saying they're devils or any of these.
So what's the solution? Is it for them to acknowledge their privilege and give it away, or? Because I don't want to give away my privilege. I got a lot of privilege, so I don't want to get that away. Exactly. I think my kids are going to have privilege because their mother is a dentist, their father is an engineer. We live in Farmington Hills. We make good money. They can go to certain schools just based off our titles alone that other kids can't go to.
Now you would see why.
I don't really want them to not be able to benefit from now those privileges.
You would see why racism will always exist unless we come together as a people and heal and move forward as a people, because no one want to give up privilege. People say...
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So
I can't complain when somebody else has it because I don't want to give up mine.
It's not about complaining. It's about saying, it's about identifying and and saying, okay, what was done is done. But you keep saying what's the solution? And the solution is to be able to see the value in moving forward as a people.
But here's my thing. Are we going to move forward as a people?
No. The thing is, if you getting ready to say no.
I don't think so.
Well,
because I think we're divided on even the smallest little things.
Well, it's okay. That's why
we have
conversations like this.
Like what?
Yeah,
what
you can try to merge it together as much as you can, but I think people they're driven by social media. They're told what and how to think,
and that's why I don't listen to them.
And but you're not most people. You represent a very small percentage.
So I have
absolutely.
I do feel like the wanting us to heal and all of that is very idealistic and wonderful, but is it going to happen? No. So I do think that there is a responsibility for us to teach the individual, like, you got to do what you got to do.
It starts,
absolutely,
because you can try to pull these people up and they will end up bringing you down.
I don't want to fall within the group for that reason. I agree with you.
You know what I mean? It can bring you down just mentally.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to pull somebody up who was hell bent on where they at? And felt that pain? That's some painful stuff to try to help somebody that save somebody who don't want to be
It's
saved.
actually disrespectful and it's insulting to that person. There's a faction of society who basically deem it their responsibility to save you. And then there's a faction of society who respect you enough as a willing and able individual capable of saving yourself.
Yeah.
I fall into the latter. At the end of the day, I agree with this brother right here in terms of the whole group thing.
Yeah.
But that works for him. And me as a black man, as an individual, this works for me. Oftentimes we don't respect that. And
you can save people by showing them what works. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see it and say, hey, okay.
I think we're getting off.
I want to be like this person. What did you do? You can be the light, the way, the truth, the light, whatever. So you don't always have to get in the trenches. But if that's what you choose to do,
then that's fine. Then that's fine.
But,
So you saying it as if I'm like in the trenches. No.
No. I'm just saying if a person chose to do that. So to me, when someone says we have to do it together, I think we've been talking that talk for a long time. I just don't see it happening.
We made a lot of progress, even in the civil rights movements, as far as people being together. We didn't
but that
have the
was
actual
some
rights.
years ago, and I think that we have very far departed from that.
Absolutely,
which is
we live in a freer society.
Yeah,
I don't.
I feel like
I don't think we're more freer.
We're not?
No. If we were more freer, we would own more than 0.5% of the wealth than we did actually owned in 1865. We have not moved on the needle one time just because we have.
Well, no, we moved up, but the other group that owned everything at that time, they moved up as well. So what you're saying is like, okay, well, we should be moving in this direction and they should be moving backwards.
No.
Because they should be given what they took back to us. And
that's not what I'm saying.
But that's
what I'm saying is if these 5 people right here have everything, and these 5 people, 2 people owned it right here, right? And these 5 people move up, and these 2 people don't even 2. That's not progress.
Well, it may not be, but there's again that goes back to that multivariate analysis where what does progress mean to one? Progress for you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, would be the whole group coming up. Progress for me is, I'm doing well, my family is doing well, and that's not wrong either. But at the end of the day, if I look at progress in that sort of way, it prevents me from being bitter. It prevents me from being resentful, from being mad at everybody.
I feel like I don't want us to have survivor's remorse, or I don't want us to have any of those feelings. I don't want us to feel bad for doing good because other people aren't doing good. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'm trying to say that we're moving in the conversation to where it's suggesting that something else is said. Those are things that hasn't even been suggested. So my thing
that's
is
been suggested
not
a
by
bit.
me.
Like, because you're basically saying like we can't be good unless we all good.
My thing is if the mindset of being individually good is good for you, then that's great. But what I'm saying is we still live in a society to where it's group economics. So the thing is, if we aren't practicing the same group economics and have the same rights and privileges that other people have as a group, then we haven't progressed. And if your individual success is great for you, that's good. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking that. I'm not neither would I come in here in a position and say you're wrong for doing that. You should take my position. That's why I'm trying to say I'm not suggesting that.
Okay.
But my passion more, this is just like a pastor, right?
Okay.
A pastor may say, my desire is for you to be saved. I may say, man, I like drinking and having sex too much. I ain't trying to be saved, pastor, so you go say them.
Amen.
So my thing is, and that pastor can be like, well, that's cool. I'm going to tell you what thus saith the Lord. I'm not about to be able to put all of this on you. You choose to listen or you choose not to, but it's not going to impact me one way or another. So my thing, if that's cool, that's what this is all about. It's like even in the I'm not about to cancel you or not come to your wife's dentist. Matter of fact, I need a dentist. So
I'm going to share that information.
Do you have cards?
I'm not about to say this brother don't agree with me, so I'm not going to his wife.
Yeah.
I'm not canceling.
And see, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that is a great note to leave on because that's the thing. People, they break up relationships, friendships, or anything over idealistic views. Like, okay, we see things differently. You see things this way. You see things that doesn't mean that we can't be cool.
Yeah.
But cancel culture, this mindset makes people think I can't be cool with you because you don't agree with me.
Yeah.
We can't be friends because you see it this way and I see it that way. So now we can't be friends. That's what makes cancel culture fucked up.
Well, cancel culture doesn't happen if people don't necessarily place the groups over the individual. And that's my point. Like if the LGBT community is trying to do whatever they can to I don't know, make progress in the country and to gain rights, that's one thing. But once you start blaming everybody else, and once you start basically saying this person is wrong because they said this, that, and the third, that's what it leads to.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. What I'm saying is that group economics can be a great thing, but there's trade-offs to everything.
I think it's
and people don't acknowledge
perfect
it.
thing.
Yeah.
My thing is just that I've lived enough to say that like it ain't happening.
And that's fine.
Because I just see the reality. Like, unfortunately, I've lived enough to see the reality, and that
you've lived long enough to be able to say this is going to be hindered.
Yes.
So the thing is, if you're saying that this is going to be hindered, then you saying that
because there's certain responsibilities that aren't taken in our community. A lot of times with a lot of things when you talk about group up economics and you talk about support Black business, and hey, I support as many Black businesses as I can on purpose.
But you better be good.
But you better be good.
Because I go right
you know
somewhere
what I'm saying?
else.
And sometimes when you say that, people will say that you're wrong. I'm wrong for saying that. I'm wrong for saying that they should have standards. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you should have standards. I'm spending my money and probably more than I would spend at Walmart. I'm going to spend more money here. And I'm doing this because you Black. And you're going to treat me like shit? Yeah. And I'm supposed to be okay with it?
Yeah. Here's the reason why I say you're not wrong, right? Because I don't feel obligated to spend my Black dollar with another Black person who doesn't see the purpose of moving forward as a people or putting money back and resources to be able to help us move forward. If you don't have that goal, then you exploit me like anyone else, and I don't necessarily have to be able to spend my money.
And that's a whole nother subject, because that's a big thing.
Because I don't know if
I'm supporting your Black business, but you going to buy Gucci.
Is a strong
you
word.
ain't in your community doing nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm spending my money with you. You going to buy Gucci and Versace and everything else, and you staying out in Troy and you don't care.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? That's a thing.
Right.
And nobody talks about it.
Well, we talking about it.
Yeah, you're right.
So it starts with honest conversations. Right?
Yeah.
It starts with saying, well, why do racism exist? Because a lot of it is taught subliminally in school. You teach me that I had a few civil rights leaders that was killed. You don't teach me about true history. You exaggerate one history and then you bottle up another one. So of course I grew up with a
inferiority complex.
Yeah. So a lot of different times.
I mean, a lot of you might.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people do.
But some kids definitely.
And I'm sure women do. I'm sure some white people that come from maybe trailer park communities do. I'm sure a bunch of people do.
Well, no, because what you find more so than how do I say this? More poor whites are more racist than people that have because. Well, especially in their speech and, how they feel, it wasn't really necessarily a lot of rich white people that was expressing these crazy things with Donald Trump's in office. It was a lot of people with snagger-tooths and, all of these. He's going to make it right for us. We're going to make America great again.
That's
true. What I'm saying? So,
but then there was a lot of sensible ones who supported him. So my thing is even, when we talk about white people, I'm friends with white people who tell me today I would trade places with you in a life you have in a heartbeat.
I don't know one at a
time. Well, but that's true. But it's not up to me to determine whether or not they're being sincere or not. They telling me that's how they feel based on how their life is. I go with that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why.
Well, because my one white friend, he's an older guy. He's in his 50s. He's having a hard time finding.
Hold on.
What?
Older guy in his 50s. Hey, man, I'm leaving.
No, but he works in the film industry.
I know you ain't in your 50s.
I'm right at the door.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I just see because he don't look. I'm thinking he like my age or something like that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, he's having a hard time finding work in the film industry right now. He's falling on hard times. Just lost his mother. See, that's the thing. None of us are impervious to death and losing loved ones, and that's the thing that binds us together on a human level. So again, this guy doesn't have the wife that I come home to. He doesn't have the kids that I have at home. And of course, that's his own doing and decisions that he made in the past. But at the end of the day, I go through things in life, but the things I go through are more bearable because I've created meaning in my life. I have a wife to come home to. I have all of these things. And at the end of the day, no matter what color you are,
dog.
You have a dog and you have a daughter.
She don't be there.
Some people don't want to come home because they have a wife to come home.
So then again, now we go from
I'm just playing it.
No, but that's about perspective. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I chose a good wife, and I
made the right choice.
Yeah. No, brother. Listen, one thing that I would never do, right, is come on here and envy or be jealous or want to make you feel bad about the success you have. Yeah. Actually, if I'm being honest, I want to see more like you. It's just that I just want to see us as a people sometimes think about the collective group versus individual.
And to do that, we have to have some very objective conversations.
Exactly.
And we have to listen to some very hard truths.
Yes.
And,
that's okay. You have to unheal things to be able to heal, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's an uncomfortable situation.
But then you get canceled.
You have a wonderful wife.
You get canceled.
So you didn't
you say the wrong thing, you get canceled by black people. I'm just saying you will.
That I went through. I've been divorced. So I had to sit through counseling. And in order to heal, we had to hear some terrible things about each other.
Yes. Yes.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
So those things are necessary to be able to move
having an uncomfortable conversation.
And I'm okay with an uncomfortable conversation.
Because you
and this is why we have to denounce cancel culture, right? Because cancel culture stops you from being able to do that. Because you just say, I don't like it no more. You know what I'm saying? We have to get rid of cancel culture. We have to get into teachable culture.
It's hard not to have cancel culture as long as you have Americans who are putting the groups that they belong to above the American identity. You're always going to have cancel culture when you have people who basically worship the groups that they belong to because they can't even have a conversation with you without separating their identity from it. So they're going to easily be offended because when somebody critiques the group, you take it personally. And they're not even critiquing you as an individual.
That's not even about just the identity. See, you're going real deep, and here's why I say that, because it's the same thing with religion. If you don't believe in Christ, I can't be a friend of yours. If you don't believe in Allah, I can't be a friend of yours. If you're not a Muslim, I can't be a friend of yours. So when you start talking about that, you start talking about anything that's divisive. That's why Malcolm X said, I don't come to you as a Muslim or any of those other different things. Today, I come to you as a black man. Yeah. Because we share something that's, I'm just talking about in terms of what he was talking about at that point. We share something in common. We're being oppressed. So he understood that if I come to you as a Muslim, Christians about this.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this. We canceling him. You know what I'm saying? It was a cancel culture.
You see the hat. That's right up my alley.
Well, Malcolm X, but he making a good point. I just want to make one. You making a good point. But see, ideally, in a perfect world, I think people should approach it like that. But what happens is that people do the exact opposite. And that's the reason why you have cancel culture. Again, let's think about social media. Back in the day when social media didn't exist, my political affiliation or whatever God I chose to believe in, that was okay to be private. In fact, I would have conversations with older people and they'd be like, boy, well, don't ask me who I voted for. Right? But nowadays, people are just quick.
I thought black people was always kind of okay with talking about politics
maybe
openly.
But what I'm saying is
and
that...
especially Jesus and Oprah. They always...
Absolutely.
That's another thing get you canceled in the black community.
Well, absolutely.
You don't like Oprah, Beyonce, or Obama, don't talk.
Well, no, absolutely. But there was a time...
Beyonce?
Oh, you're trying to be canceled already. You know what I'm saying?
You better. Now, that's one person I ain't going to say that bad about.
Because we can stop this right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
They know at Shop Talk. They know I fuck with Beyonce.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you can't have one without the other. Me, you, we would practice group economics in a way that's
absolutely.
We would practice group economics or group think in a way that's productive because we'd still be willing to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't belong to that group. But I'm saying that most people, this is the reality. Most people are going to be judgmental, and they're going to let that power go to their heads, and they're going to deem it their responsibility to reprimand people for saying something that hurts their feelings. You're not going to have one without I'm just saying trade-offs. I like your approach because in a perfect world, it works if we take the perfect approach, but we live in a very imperfect world where people exploit things.
Yeah, and that's
especially
fine.
Victimhood.
It's fine. It's fine, but it's always powers in the numbers, and that's where you get your strength a lot of times. Yeah. And that's what we don't have.
And that's where you get the power to cancel people too.
Yeah. It's a whole bunch
would
of
be a
things.
thing.
It's a whole bunch of different things. If I wanted to go into this, it's just not as that simple. It's like, okay, if we want to move forward, then we have to understand and know and treat our women better. We're the only people. I believe that the black woman is the most unappreciated woman on the face of this earth.
Thank you.
So
I'm telling you, I feel so unappreciated.
I ain't about to say nothing against that.
I don't even want to go.
Yeah.
And this is not for no brownie points. This is not anything. I'm saying that there's tough conversations that have to be had. So you can't sit up and rap about these bitches all day.
Even the R. Kelly situation.
And then want to talk about you want to move forward as a people. You see what I'm saying? You can't have both ways.
Right.
So that's another reason why I try to. I'm an old school guy. You look at my playlist, it's a whole bunch of OJs, Teddy Pendergrass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I can't understand these young people that are just talking about just flip it over and bust it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so now we live.
Wait, how you know that line though? Flip it over and bust it out. Because that came out quite naturally. Okay?
Is that a line? It's that easy to make songs nowadays.
I don't know. It needs to be one though. I kind of like that shit.
That was good.
Flip it over and bust it out.
Bust it over.
So it's a lot of things that have to be talked about when you peel back the onion.
Absolutely.
It's just, are you okay to talk about it?
Absolutely.
I'm okay with my differences. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay that we can come up here and agree to a certain degree and disagree. That's okay. That's what makes us human. The very fact that we are even talking about race is because we're wrong. Race was invented. We the human race first.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So because we've had hate, because we had so many other different things.
Like they said, we don't need these folks we trying to rule getting together and
so
going against us.
That's what I'm trying to get
that's
you to
what it's always been about.
This is not about hate. Because at the end of the day, there is only really one race.
Yeah.
So this is not hate, but I'm living in a reality. So what do I do?
Yeah.
And so that's where the standpoint I was coming from.
You can, and like I said, you can live in a reality, but sometimes we take this utopian approach to things. At the end of the day, I don't think you can have people putting groups before the individual and not have cancel culture. I don't think it's possible. I think it always leads down that road.
So for you, I'm gonna just let you guys have some closing words because I'm thinking for sure like our time is up.
Yeah.
So if our time is up, who's canceling us?
Huh?
Who's canceling us?
Yeah, who's canceling us right now?
Jason? No.
My closing words are, we talked about a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And, do I believe in a cancel culture? I mean, I kind of agree with my brother here to a certain degree. It depends on, society dictates a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's probably some people that need to be canceled. But I don't know who has the right to be able to say that person needs to be canceled. So it gets sticky, right?
Right.
I choose to stand by who I choose to stand by for whatever reasons. I think that we have some of the vision, like you just said.
Will you still be stepping in the name of love?
I have no problem. I probably go bump, touch the dream when I leave here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna listen to R. Kelly music. I'm not gonna listen to it. So I hope I don't get canceled.
Yeah.
I may step. I may touch
his streams have gone up 500%. They said since he got found guilty. But since he got found guilty, I find that extremely crazy.
Well,
I'm not mad or canceling people because they still want to listen. That's not my place.
You canceled R. Kelly years ago.
I think people.
Canceled R. Kelly.
Wait, what?
I think flexing about still bumping it after knowing the things that he's accused of is weird. But I'm not canceling anybody because they still want to. But no, I explained to him that I canceled R. Kelly when I was 14 when I found out he married Aaliyah. actually, when I heard Aaliyah's first album, it creeped me out because he was the producer on it and he was on some songs, and I just remember this song, and it started off and he'd be like, Aaliyah, you're the only one for me, Aaliyah. And I'm thinking like, he's too old to be saying this to her. Like, this seemed inappropriate, and you know, at this time, no one knew that they had a relationship. And then it came out that they had a relationship and they were married and she was pregnant and all of this shit has come out. But when I was 14, I canceled R. Kelly and I never enjoyed his music, listened to it. Like, if somebody brought him up, I would be like, I don't listen to him.
Not even 12 play?
Not even 12 play.
I'm going to bump 12
Not
play.
even public enough.
And, you know, now that I've seen Surviving R. Kelly and I know the whole story, I told him I could empathize because I feel like he had an issue, a problem. He had a desire. And I feel like the people around him helped create a monster that he could have possibly been because nobody held him accountable. Everybody watched these things happen, and all of them are coming out the woodworks, you know, talking shit about him and saying everything he did, but you were there and you watched it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you be there and watch it? How could you say as a grown woman that you witnessed a 27-year-old man have sex with a 15-year-old girl on a tour bus and you worked with him for 10 years after that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you've seen all these young girls come and go and you work with him. Like, it's just like, and even society as a whole, you know, nobody wanted to hold him accountable. Everybody put it on Aaliyah. She was almost blackballed. A lot of people don't know that. Missy and Timberland, they saved her career. They revived her career. Nobody was really wanting to work with her after all of this because she was tarnished. Because she's a 15-year-old girl that seduced the 27-year-old man, according to society. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's fucked up. But when you do that to somebody like R. Kelly, who he's illiterate, for one, like, he can't read or write, I don't even believe.
But you can't.
You know, he's got this.
You cancel.
Something's wrong with him. Like, he's needed help for a long time, and he never got. Nobody loved this man enough to get him some fucking help. That's fucked up to me. I canceled his music because I was a child, and that's just how I saw it. I'm saying now I can understand. But what I can understand why people might still listen or whatever, even though I don't think they're seeing it how I see it. But I'm not canceling them for still wanting to do that.
I'm not putting you on the spot. What I'm saying is, people do that based off their own moral barometer a lot of different times. And that's why you're never going to get rid of it. It's just that, do they have enough power to be able to cancel something? Yeah. So but my canceling is not like, I just want him to get some damn help. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. Like, I feel like something is wrong. You know? It's a lot of things wrong with a lot of people. We just don't know of them. Exactly. So but we do know of these. So I can't talk about what we don't know. But I'm talking about what we do know. And what we do know is that he did these things. He was trifling. When I heard about it, I did not fuck with the man no more. I thought it was repulsive and disgusting. And it continued on. Another girl. And, you know, all these other adults just watched it. In respect to, like, all of them should be canceled too. Everybody who watched, all the parents who knew their daughter was going to R. Kelly house. Like, do you know how hurtful that has to be as a daughter, that your mother, you know what I'm saying, allowed this to happen to you, not even knowing what's going on, not knowing that you're being abused. So they claim they were being abused and held captive, and you ain't heard from your daughter, and then she'd pop up and call, and, you know, and you ain't send out a search party and try to get your daughter from this man. You ain't called the police or nothing. I agree with what you're saying, but here I just realized my closing words, and it's based off of what you just said. All right. That's why we have to be careful about the cancel society. Although we may agree, we all have reasons why we feel like someone should be canceled. And it's based off of our own moral barometer. Yeah, and everybody's is different. Right. So although you found out what R. Kelly did, and you don't want to listen to his music anymore, that's your own personal preference. Yes. Absolutely. But you don't, hold on 1 second. I don't push that on you. No, that's fine. But you don't know what Justin Bieber did, so you can still listen to his music. I'm not saying Justin Bieber did anything. Right. I'm just using that as an example. But do his music become less attractive? Really? Really? Once you found out what he did?
I just didn't. Okay, so listen. It was hard for me to escape Ignition. And I'm just like, damn, the toot.
Was one of the best.
That beat. Like, like I would get so mad at myself for wanting to dance to this song. Cause I'm like, ooh, I heard him. Like, that's just how I felt.
It was hot, though. That's
but I couldn't escape it.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I hate this nigga. He's so talented. He need to be in jail though. No. But yeah. So
I mean, I think you said something good about you understand now versus the time when you were 14, and I think like me and my wife have this saying, and it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about trying to understand each other, and we can walk away from a debate. And, I may not come over to her side. She may not come over to my side, but at least we've listened to each other. We've tried to have an understanding for what each other said. And I think that's the best that we can do. And again, I'm a God-fearing person, so it's not up to me to become the moral judge of somebody else. It's more like, okay, well, the judicial system dealt with him. Do I think it was wrong what he did? Yeah, sure, but it's not up to me to necessarily judge him, because in doing that, it would almost be like...
So you still listen?
Well, here's the thing, because I can separate the artist from the man. At the end of the day, did he do something?
So if Lil Nas X came out with a hot song, you are okay with listening to it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
because some people will be like, I stopped listening to Frank Ocean once I found out he was gay because I knew he was singing about a man. So if you know a man is singing about fucking little girls, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I like people who make good music. So again, at the end of the day, like Luther Vandross, right? God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Some people speculate that he was going the other way, but he never felt the need to come out and tell everybody. And that helps me to be able to separate the man from the artist. Now, I think it also works in cancel culture, because most often we can't separate the individual from the group. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest issue. Hey, being a part of a group is cool if it's used for the right and productive reasons, but a lot of times it's not used for the right reasons, because we never are able to separate, or oftentimes we can't separate the individual from the group. We don't do it. It's like, well, if you're a part of this group, you feel this way, or if you this, that, and or if you black, then you automatically think like this. And sometimes you need to be willing to separate the individual from the group, just like in the R. Kelly situation, I can separate the artist from the man, because I don't know him.
Gotcha.
Democrats, Republican. They've been doing it for a long time.
Yes.
Because I'm a Democrat, do I supposed to agree with everything a Democrat says?
Absolutely.
Or a Republican? No. What makes sense?
Yeah.
So we've always had this type of thing. If Jeff's coming out and gave a word, cancel culture.
Absolutely.
It's always been there.
Okay. So. Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Well, I thank you guys for joining me today. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much, and that's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.